Stu, I understand you're a state's attorney here in Illinois, and that's a prosecutor. You've been a prosecutor for over 20 years, is that right?
I have been.
If you could share a little bit with us about your experience of what you've seen pre and post casinos regarding, what your responsibilities are for the state of Illinois.
Well, unfortunately, what we've seen with the development of casinos in the state of Illinois and in our county in particular are a lot of crimes that are financially driven crimes by people that had no prior history of criminality. Individuals that maybe steal from their employer, public officials that steal from their public funds that they have available, and also individuals that may be entrusted with funds to take care of children or to take care of disabled adults, and they embezzle money because once they become sort of sucked into the gambling, they look for money wherever they can get it.
So you've seen crimes from people that you would never expected and really were not typically of the criminal element. Is that what you've seen casinos bring into the state then?
Right, and such as this morning, we have a report on our desk where an aunt embezzled over $100,000 from a trust fund that was left for her niece when her parents died, and that was her niece's college fund. That was the funds to take care of her, provide for her, and now it's gone. And we can prosecute the individual for taking the money, but we're not going to get the money back, unfortunately.
Do you see any of that sort of thing with folks that are say leave here and visit and go to Vegas and come back? Do you see that kind of addiction and that kind of loss?
Well, I think what is really important when you bring it home, when you bring the gambling into your community, is it makes it more accessible, it makes it easier, and when you have a person with a gambling addiction, it's just that much more difficult for them to break away from the gambling. It's a little more difficult to get on a plane and fly to Las Vegas than it is to hop in a car and just drive up the river to the riverboat.
Do you see any of that sort of crime related to horse racing?
Really don't. We've had off-track betting parlors in the state of Illinois for a long time, and we just, in fact, I can't recall in my 20 years as a prosecutor seeing an embezzling case that was a result of betting on horses.
Well, you made an interesting point that I really wasn't aware of or knew, and that's that the people that you've ended up prosecuting because of embezzlement, stealing, other things, are people that you'd never think would be involved in crime, and were it not for this addiction, would be very unlikely to be in your office.
Right. I mean, you see it across the board, and it's mostly middle-aged or older individuals. These are individuals that, because of their either work history, have sort of graduated to the level of trust with their employer, so they have access to funds. So we're talking about folks that may be in their 60s, their 70s, or at least middle age, where they have access to funds with their employer.
How does it impact the families of these individuals?
Well, I can tell you that we have story after story about estates, pensions, retirement funds that have been depleted, and that causes a lot of stress on families.
We're traveling to visit some towns and cities to find out if casino gambling is as bad as people say, and is it really that bad?
Well, we've only talked about the financial crimes. You also, unfortunately, and that I think this is probably not hard for most people to understand, casinos sort of draw in some folks to your community that you really wouldn't like to have in your community. Whether you're talking about organized crime, whether you're talking about drug-related crime, we have a lot of individuals that are in our community and they commit other crimes while they're here.
Is this a partisan issue? I mean, is it a Republican or a Democrat issue?
Oh, absolutely not. I think that you could look from state to state and see people on different sides of the issue, but this is one that's interesting because it's not political. It's not a Republican, Democrat issue.
You've got some folks that say that, well, we have alcohol, we have horse racing. Is casino gambling any different than that?
Well, I can tell you in my 20 years as a prosecutor, I haven't had cases come to my desk involving somebody that's involved in horse betting, that is embezzling money, or they're addicted to alcohol or drugs and they're embezzling money.
So you can say, in your experience as a prosecutor since the casinos have come, that this is a whole new area of problem, and human suffering and ruined lives than what you see with those other things.
My career spans both before and after the casino came to our county. And before the casino came to our county, we didn't have veterinary secretaries stealing money from their employer. We didn't have folks stealing money from cemetery associations or from libraries or from schools. Really, there hasn't been an organization within our county that I can think of that hasn't been victimized by somebody that has a gambling addiction. And we didn't have those cases before the casino came to our county, and we have them now. So I think the facts speak for themselves.
My opponent says you need to go visit these communities because they're vibrant communities where these casinos are. What would you say to him and folks that may say, boy, that sounds attractive?
Sounds to me like somebody that hasn't visited a community that has a casino, and it sounds to me like a person that's not familiar with what the community was like before the casino arrived and after the casino is in the community. Because from my experience, there's been nothing but downside to the casino in our area. We had some initial plus some easy money when the casino came in, when they wanted to have a license. It's something that people naturally are going to say, hey, yeah, I want some of that easy money. But it's not there. It disappears. And you have a lot of damage in your community that far surpasses any amount of money that might come in.